Thank you very much for joining me. Polina here, chatting to you a little bit about the month of August. If you are new to my channel, thank you very much for joining me. So usually I do a video for the month, and then I also do 12 audios that are available on Patreon, which is in the links below. Thank you very much for joining me. Also very happy to be launching my 10 albums of music. 10 albums of music this month as well, the 24th. So very excited to be looking forward to that. And yes, let's talk about this particular month for you. So to me, August looks like a very, very special and significant time if you've done the work earlier. So every fixed sign, such as Leo, such as Aquarius, Scorpio and Taurus, is a kind of real signifier as to where you've come out to be in the end. It's a big full stop. So all the fixed signs in the zodiac usually usher us into that next level of our projects. So if we are building something, we're becoming somebody. If we are working on some kind of a cause and effect, it's going to become very obvious how come things aren't working and why certain things work really well. So it's a very nice feeling to understand, and also to be able to be proud and hopeful enough to see any shortcomings and any treasures that you have in your life. I feel that sometimes people are not humble enough to see that for what it is, but also I feel that sometimes people are not progressive or conscious enough to understand where they also have to move on. So I feel that the thing is that we have to really understand now and reorganize and put our things together to be able to really give back to that which is working for us, and to enlighten and enrich the soils that are actually growing the most beautiful fruit, and also understand where we have to hold back a little bit because we don't have enough, or because we are not yet well enough to perform at a certain level or be in a certain place in our lives. So the best way, or the better way to conquer this month is to basically start to understand where things are very well put and placed. I feel that Leo is going to be a very hard time for some people if they're not conscious enough of what they're getting and the results are feeling less than contained. So this containment of results, you know, an understanding of what you do actually have and who you do have on your team, or where you do feel like you can put your feet in the right direction, or where you feel you can really anchor in, you know, is going to be a really good time. So like understanding how things are good and what for you doing something, and what is the cause and effect and the karma of what you're trying to do, provide, or speak and communicate. As we do start this month with Mercury and Leo as well, there is a need for you also, though, to understand the practical and the significant things here as well. So for example, if you're walking into any kind of territory, if you're doing anything, please understand the simple things, like for example your audience, you know, understand who you are in a situation with, what are the prerequisites to certain things as well. So for example, if you're wanting to make it in a certain industry, if you're wanting to step through a certain door, really you have to look at your CV. You have to understand why you are here or why you aren't able to enter something. So sometimes there are very little cogs in place that we don't want to notice because we're too emotional or romantic during a Leo time. But by the end of the month we do have Virgo, and that's going to already start to create for us a better focus and a more rapid emotional response to things, because this Mercury going through Virgo is going to inevitably bring a quickening and a faster pace, and I also think is going to give better logic and better time to the mind, is going to time us in the right way, is going to lead us in the right direction, and is going to make things more than fruitful and more than available should there be a chance there. So if there's chances, if there are fresh seedlings or seeds, or if there are new emotions and brand new ventures and ideologies coming out through this time, you'll probably hear them or feel them growing. And by the end of the month, there should be a very quick escape or an attunement. If you need an attunement, and there should be a very quick gain or a gathering of that which you need to get those right results. So even if your results, you know, as they're sitting in front of you now, are not maybe 100% correct, even if you're not feeling fully yet stable and sufficient enough within yourself as, you know, a person, as a professional, as a practitioner, as a mother, as a friend, as a partner. It's very, very interesting here to become more open to that, which is going on in the world. And yes, sometimes little clicks and little people, little twinkles can give you a very, very interesting idea as to how to do things next. So for example, this is where the older generation looks at the newer generations and the forthcoming people in the industries to be able to know what is next or what is relevant. This is when sometimes an old skilled guru or a teacher or practitioner can take care of themselves through new modalities or new universal ways in which people are now sticking their lives together. This is how business works now, or like this is how people speak to each other now. This is the next wave, or this is the next adventure, or the next dimension of like healing or any practice or any career or any given. So we have a very, very nice future rolled out for the rest of us through some very fresh and up and coming waves. So sometimes there'll be just the one person to change a whole industry. There could be just the one fresh up and comer that could completely take our breath away. Sometimes there's only the one new thing that we want also, and that's very hard. So this is very, very great for some. But imagine like being very, very, very incredibly young at something, or just being very, very young. And then not being able to handle all the pressure, all the stress, or all the torment that sometimes comes with huge responsibility. So suddenly being a leader. So these very fresh young people, they've been coming up for a couple of months now, like quite a few months actually. There is this very interesting rudeness and freshness that a tiger year kind of expects or wants. There is a new type of seeding. There is this next level generation, or this next level outcome that people are looking for, and these very, very new ways in which people are starting to cause havoc sometimes, you know, before it does any good, or it starts to cause balance or reconnection. So I'm feeling that for you, if you are very, very new and yet you are very, very wise in your field or in your energy, how you express yourself, not to feel shame or fear, because this is one of the greatest times to fight for your rights. It's one of the greatest energies to put your products out there. It's really, really great here to be out there in front of the public, and you might be the only one eventually that everybody wants to see. So for example, you are a fresh new talent, or you are the only person maybe that is wise enough or flamboyant enough or even scary enough, as we are in the Tiger year and Leo month, to cause a certain stir. You might not be maybe the only one in the world that's doing what you're doing, but you might be one of the only ones that people hear or want to go towards. So imagine if you're like, for example, starting a cafe during this time. It could be the only cafe that anybody goes to eventually in time. So that's like something that sometimes happens, and it's very, very enlightening, and it's very, very relevant, and it's very, very unusual, and sometimes kind of like unfortunate that we don't notice that's happening. So when I was younger, you know, like, and I stepped into some very, very big shoes that I didn't understand I was actually stepping into, it made me feel fear. So like when you are a gifted child, you know, or you're a gifted adult, and you're doing something that nobody else has done, sometimes the animosity of the space or the fear of you and start. When other people look at you, they look at your materials, or they look at your face, they look at your mannerism, you know, they sometimes fear you, and sometimes that could be the only culprit here. I feel that there is quite a lot of young, fresh, juicy talent, and things that are very out of the ordinary happening during this time, and people are finally fully fleshing out their story. And sometimes their tribal colors or their flavor or their energy really gives people that next level faith. But we feel fear, and sometimes it's important to be very gentle with us. So if you have, for example, a person next to you that is just starting something, which could be one of the best things that you know, the world can offer, maybe actually in the long run, please be careful. Sometimes we're very sensitive when we're producing that level of energy and resonance and infinity. So like if you have, for example, a gifted child, or if your partner is doing something very, very gifted, or if you are yourself in a very, very humbling self-developmental process where you are fully pouring your soul out. It's very important to be gentle because any kind of ruckus can be very karmic and very fragile. And also a lot of people that are going through a growth spurt during Leo, it's a little bit late for you maybe. So that's the thing. If you have a sudden growth spurt during this time, there is a certain type of feeling of urgency sometimes if you are only just discovering your talents or your next picture during this time. But it could be, and it probably will be, very, very amazing and very relevant for other people, should you be strong and fortunate enough also to carry on as you are. So if you are very, very good at your job type of person, if you are very, very exquisite at who you are and what you're doing in your life, it might be probably the best time and the only time to really extend yourself out, because that is what a tiger year is for. And this season, this time around, it's not maybe for the best of the best, but it also can be in the future. So that's the thing, like sometimes I do understand something that we put out there, like say, also I'm seeing like my music is a little bit like that, you know, sometimes people's fears are kind of interlaced with the products or the things that they're putting out there or the things that they really want to do in the world. Sometimes these feelings and these fears are also a needed part of the greater global cause and effect. So the program maybe is not the cleanest and the purest it could ever have been, but it probably is the only time, honestly, for some of us to really get our work out there, and probably is one of the best energies to work with if we are looking into simplifying our path. So if you are a tortured artist or a poet, or if you're a writer, if you've always wanted to be somebody, if you always wanted to speak your truth, or just like say those words, even if it was just to somebody very special, it's one of the best times, especially for the older generation or older people that haven't yet been able to fully shine, to actually speak out, you know, wear that beautiful dress and be you and be yours. And I also feel that it's important to understand that we don't have to feel terrible anymore. And I do understand that there is a certain type of psychological, unconscious level truth there. And I do understand that a lot of people don't feel very good about themselves or their bodies or their methods of life, or maybe their own conservatism or the conservatism of their peers. And then eventually I feel it's going to be very, very hard for quite a lot of people to get their lives together if they are not honest and brave enough now. So if you've got something that you're sitting on and you want to launch it, if you are doing something with a friend, if you are trying to get those emotions out, even though they might not be the purest and the most amazing things that you have to say, try to vocalize and make those moves now, because if there was ever time to do it, it would definitely be today. So I definitely feel that in terms of also conformity and wanting to keep things safe, Tiger Year is not about that. And it is at a very, very radical space here. Also, if we're looking at that North Node illumination with Mars right next to it at the beginning of the month, and Uranus, of course, very close by. I mean, this is a very, very intense stellium for the North Node. So like where we're going as a species and how we really feel and what we think about, and how much time and energy we are capable now seeding into that next part of our evolution or our beingness is really immense. It's incredible how much energy, time, and essence we are actually able to spend today, for some of us, on something that we really, really wanted to do maybe for a long time. And I also feel that quite a lot of people have so many things happening around them to either collapse or build realities as if by magic. So if you have a sudden collapsing or a sudden growing in your realities, try to understand that is not something to be judged. It is just something that nature does, the universe does, to be able to seed those next level seeds. And also having big collapses, having very big, maybe even informal things happen that suddenly take your mind out of one thing and put them into another, or they just basically refragment or reconnect the dots. It's very, very hard to be there on that level, but I do definitely feel that anything that is too hard on us at this point is not the point. The point is to give it way, you know. So if there is a catharsis, if you are working with some very, very brutal and crazy energies, there is a need to give them way and not to stand in front of like a moving train. So if you have quite a lot of things just slipping like a landslide during these times, it's important to understand that to build the bigger and better things, some of them have to go. So if you have a sudden meanness to your life, so life can get mean and even like very unfulfilling or even brutal during this month, or if you feel that there is something very, very horrible or very heavy-handed happening in your situation, or if you also feel that there could be something very shameful or something very irrelevant happening in your life, on some level, it is all a certain type of catharsis that has to happen in order to build that next big thing. And I think that for quite a lot of you, there's not really enough time to consider how you're going to do it. So this is where I come back to the basics. You know, it's really good to have everything sorted out and spruced up. So if you have previously in your life spent time, like say, sprucing up your website, you know, cleaning up your space, you know, organizing everything and having everything very clean and pure, updating your paperwork, being on top of legal matters, this is where it really shows, because I do definitely trust that a lot of us would otherwise struggle. So having an impure place, like an impure home, or having an uncomfortable workflow, or having no organization in your life, and also, yeah, no organization in your body, endocrine health issues or anything like that, they're going to really push you back and maybe make you be a little bit behind with these things. So if you're one of those people that knows how to organize, I feel it's going to be a very, very nice prerequisite to Virgo month. So when we go into September, there's going to be a very, very big obvious way in which you have planned things, done things, or set things up. So there is like something very, very associative and something very, very special about knowing that you've done it for yourself somehow. You have self-organized. You know that feeling of like getting into a fresh, crisp bed that you've laid yourself, you know, or for example, opening up a kitchen cupboard to face all these beautiful ingredients that you've gathered yourself, you know, so that you've spent time gathering, or, you know, like having to get ready really fast and knowing that you have all your paperwork together and you don't have to like fidget around. So that fidgeting sometimes happens, and I think that is part of the volcanic issue that Leo could have during this month, because people don't have their things together. So if you don't have your self together, if you don't have any sense about who you are and where you're going or how you're going to place your steps in the next future, that's going to really, really affect you. And sometimes Leo time is a very futuristic time. Leo is a time that is connected to children, also our projects and things that we want to take further than just hobbies sometimes. And it's really, really beautiful to get things together. And I do definitely understand that not a lot of us are formed or connected well enough energetically or mentally even to be able to really afford a giant change. But the way that I do it sometimes is through erosion. So I know this is really hard. So Leo time is not for erosion. So if you were going to pick a time to cleanse your body, for example, Leo would not be a good time unless you have a 12th house in Leo or a 6th house in Leo. Sometimes 4th house, you know, it can also work. But like if you have a lot of Leo in your chart, also cleansing and destroying is hard. So that's the thing also. If I'm, you know, talking about this and you have like a 12th house in Leo, probably doesn't apply to you, but for many people, Leo is a very hard time to cleanse and to scope things in a different way. To change your mind is hard. To get off the rails and into a different type of path or future is hard, because unless it's all laid out for you, because it is such a pragmatic planner's energy. It's so plan filled, and it is so adjusted, it's so just, and it is so buoyant as well, but it is so strict. So part of why we want, like for example, fame or recognition, or why we want our projects or our children to go further, than we ever could as simple, because we are interested in elevating past a certain level of who we are. Also, Leo represents the heart, so it's about going to that next level. So if you are looking at it from this perspective, wouldn't it be nice to just basically get rid of that which is standing in the way, or that is on the opposite spectrum to that which you are going towards? But this depends. Not everybody is free enough or open enough to do this, but I definitely feel that it would give you more velocity and less likely chance of hysteria, because I feel that there is something volcanic, and things can really melt down during this month, especially during the Leo part. So I do definitely feel that there could be a lot of malfunction later on in life. Also, if you don't really understand how you can put your picture of life together, or if you're not getting the right results or the correct feelings even from what you're doing, what you're a part of. So how I do it usually, and this is like coming from a very Libra Scorpio person, I usually just leave things be as they are. So when I understand that certain things don't need doing, I don't do them. And also understand when certain people's lives walk into my path and I shouldn't be involved, I don't get involved. Also understanding that some things that I am supporting or part of, I can't be a part of, or they're not real, or there are certain journeys that won't be realistic for me afterwards, like after a certain time. So like when you understand that, it's very easy to let go, and that makes a very, very beautiful sports car velocity for the Leo month. So unfortunately, I feel for a lot of us, after the smooth and fine Cancer month, also Leo could be very rocky and very hard. It's like a hard drive up the hill with all the rocks, but because you are free and open enough to see it now, maybe you understand what you don't need in your car, so that it can go faster. So it's just kind of like that. It's like, even if it is a slightly rocky path, it's just important not to evolve through that rockiness and the territories that are not helpful in a terrain that is just mucky. There are always going to be vibrational gifts also in this time, and places that are not the kindest and not the softest. Maybe for some people, yeah, it does take a rocky path to get there. And I do understand if your psyche has prepared you to really battle or to full steam ahead, but beyond it is just no more of that which you love or want. It will just be all that, So like when we're going towards a theme or a mission that is rocky, this is not where you probably want to be eventually. So that's the thing. It's like going on the rocky mission and, carrying all of those things with you, and wishing really, really, really to make it. If it's rocky and it's hard, and it's hot and it's leaving you breathless and it's making you try so very hard, I think that for some people there needs to be recognition. If there is a path of the heart, it's very like, Knight of Cups situation here, path of the heart you've chosen that is just going to endlessly initiate you or take you backwards. So I guess that's another thing to understand. I mean, this is a completely different line of frequency. I definitely do understand that there is a path of least resistance, so that a lot of us are on it and have been on it for years. And there is a lot to be said about these people that don't need resistance anymore to feel like they're worthy or to have that beautiful life. So this is not just about hedonism and having nothing to do all day, although for some people I'm sure that's how it works. It's more than that. It's just about a lighter, more colorful and funny life. So this is something that I have done a long time ago. I've started to actually see that this is the true pleasure of being here, and that other stuff that I was taught since I was a child, I still am trying to let go of. So all of these mechanisms that make you work so very hard and make you seek pleasure and pushing yourself upwards, going up a hill and carrying so much on your back. I do definitely understand that there are some people that only feel something when life is rude with them, when life is tough with them, when life is bitchy with them. And I do definitely understand that some people are realized through only that which is constantly abusive to the energy and their systems. and I definitely have been one of those people in my younger years, but now I get it, you know, like, so when I was very young, I mean, I am sure that many people can relate. My mother instructed me to be a good person. I had to go through a lot of hardship, you know. So she also told me that a man that didn't go to the army is not a real man, you know, stuff like that, you know. So like that's a cultural issue, and I think a lot of Eastern Europeans know what that is. So like I think we have to really understand that those good for us things that we thought were so good for us are not anymore. So also Leo, we sometimes go into very hard things. We like the hard stuff, like we like hard music, we like hard liquor, we like hard food, we like hard individuals, we like that gladiator feeling or that big compact brick. And sometimes what people really like during Leo time is compactness and a staunchness and a toughness, and even a certain type of zealousness that comes from being bitten by life and still going. And I also understand that, and I get that in life there are sometimes, you know, like whole cultures, like monasteries, like societies are built on just hardness. And I also get that. But because of the times we're in, I think it's going to be so very hard in the rabbit year 2023 if we have just a whole lot of like chock-a-block stuff going with us. So food that we are eating, you know, like make no mistake, you know, also like it sort of goes in all the fractals here. It's very easy, like the food we're eating, the type of relationship we're having, the conversations we are supporting, also the music we listen to, like the things we're saying. It's just so compact and chunky that sometimes in a rabbit ear, where does it go? It goes into your burrow, and it's just so hard to live with. So if you are walking towards a very, very chunky, overstimulated or overpacked future already in Leo 2022, is going to be such a hard month ahead, and it also is going to have to show you where you are extending yourself past that dimension that is probable or likely, and where you are just seriously like pushing a cart uphill, which should not even be there. So like, do you really need to do it? And I think that for a lot of us, we'll say like Eastern European background, or like say Catholic background or anything like that, we really have to stop, wait and listen, because I think that a lot of us are forgetting our souls. And then like, what is the point of Leo without the soul? So without Leo, without laughter, Leo is just a gladiator. So he's just the king, he's just the boss daddy. Without the beauty and the fragility and the sensitivity and the subtlety of life, Leo just builds us to this brick house, you know, it just builds us to this big solid dude. And then eventually Virgo has to work so hard to be able to understand what to do. So like a lot of this just goes back to the body. I mean, this is the philosophy of the heart. Like when the heart goes through so much and it is constantly like processing ego and anger, and you know, if you're always like eating meat and like, you know, drinking wine and, you know, eating bread and grains and carbs, you know, it's like the person grows into this kind of like a machine, which seems very meaningful because it's large, and it gets older with years, and it gets just so jaded with life. And then we have this Virgo season, which is basically when our body tries to put the picture back together. So this is like the small, slinky, tiny little steps to try and kind of compensate for this growth. So if you are a very, very big person, if you're a very larger than life, hearty person, also understanding where you're bulking up, where you shouldn't have bulk. And this is not about body necessarily physically. It's not necessarily about being a certain size or a certain shape at all. It's just mainly because we have so much bulk in our lives. We have organized and kind of guarded up all this stuff. We've built up all this stuff. We've made all these different mechanisms to keep us together, that then Virgo has to work very hard to understand how to do it. So this is where people sometimes hire lawyers and doctors and physicians and physiotherapists and masseuses and chiropractors and yoga teachers and I don't know, school teachers, lots of things, driving instructors. They have to really, really think about who can be of help because the bulk is too big. So all of these giant ventures, you know, making lots of money, playing with giant sums of money, it's very important if you are taking care of that as well, which is, probably part of your karma as well now. It's very, very important and impressive to also let go of things that you can't carry, but you're still carrying. Yes, I could make that other business. Do you need to make that other business? Yes, I could build a next level of my stories. Do you need to build the next level of your story? And what sometimes Leo does is it makes us feel very, very frisky and fragile otherwise, so that's the thing. Sometimes it's like being naked. And I think that's where people are not so proud. Sometimes the psychology of nudity is an important part of the picture. Like, do you feel good naked? Do you feel good when it's just like you and your friends around? Do you feel good partying and laughing and being funny? Because that's where this month really is at. So if you are in August not able to squeeze out a smile or have a laugh, it's going to be a very, very hard and also hysterical time. Also, make sure that you're on top of things. Your heartbeat, if you are wheezing, if you can't like sleep, if you are breathing and your whole chest is contracted, it is a chance that there is something going on. And also the solar plexus, if your solar plexus is not firing and you're feeling negative, or you're feeling neglect, or you're feeling sulky, and all these like theatrical emotions come out, big theater stuff, because of what you did or didn't do, because of what your mother or father did or didn't say or do, or because of society, because of other governments and all of this like hard and heavy stuff. Maybe it's just about shedding, and sometimes it is about shedding weight. Sometimes it is about being fun again, and about being conscious and funny just as you are, just being naked. It's a very, very interesting time to just be naked and just to believe it. So like I feel that it's just about shedding the extra tissues, shedding the extra growths, metaphorically speaking as well, just giving it away. Like, you know what, I don't need to have this giant coat, or like I don't have to have this huge house, or I don't have to have this multifaceted job or this giant inorganic social media presence to make me somebody. So it's just about having time with yourself. And I feel that there's a lot more laughter and fun to be had in a smaller place, like having less friends, having less people, having less bacteria, also having less bread, having less wine or beer, having less. It's not about abstinence, it's just about being lighter. So, like going uphill, this rocky hill, and pushing that cart up and trying to be so strong and tough. And then at the end of the day, sometimes the better ideas are kind of like naked ideas. So imagine yourself as like a completely different species of person. Maybe you have associated yourself with somebody that you've seen in your childhood. Maybe you thought an adult was a big, robust, meaningful, serious, and heavy person. But actually, when you look at it, I feel that we're all children at heart. And like, wouldn't it be nice to be a fairy again? And I'm not trying to kind of like wash you out here. I'm not trying to wash you down. I'm just saying that this month could be very, very happy if we are not constantly looking for growth, bulk, and achievements, and also adjustment of other people, or them adjusting you. So all the seriousness, like looking somebody in the face and telling them, you have to do this like that, all the seriousness that we actually don't like. When we look at, say, like the music industry and the different movements, the different technologies of punk. So most music these days is at least partially punk music, and it's really, really fun. It's really fun, and its ideology is trying to break free. It's trying to burst this bubble that everybody's sitting in, and it's a beautiful sign. It's definitely changing though as well. But you see, like, people really, really do want to break out. People do want to break free. We do want to break open and eventually let that adolescence shine through. And I don't know, like, really, like, what you see, in yourself or others, what you're going for. But, like, a lot of the people I feel that are really making it and that are growing are partially just children. And I feel that's where the new earth is going, where that next future of humanity is. It's in that innocence and the vulnerability sometimes also, and inability to just structure and be tough. Driving this machine is almost like as if your body is like a machine that you're driving. It's not about being trapped inside this fortress that you yourself have somehow created. It's not about sitting there in a house full of junk that you collected. It's not about meaningful things that you've said to your husband or wife. It's not about meaningful family photos anymore. All of those ancient things that we thought would give us meaning kind of don't. So it's more about being free and frisky and fresh. And that's not necessarily for every single person in the world, because I do understand there is a certain diversity involved as well. But wouldn't it be nice to be free? And the heart sings. So what you basically here want to do is prepare also that Virgo is very, very highly equipped. So when we're going towards the end of August and we're starting in September, we have a very, very frisky, light-hearted, fairy-like energy working with us anyway. So that very light and frisky and slightly turbulent, but also whimsical and fancy Virgo time is going to be a great time, I believe. It's going to try and fix all these problems that that hippopotamus heart has grown. So what I mean by hippopotamus heart is like, we just have so many problems in our heads. We think so hard. We're so serious. We are constantly looking for respect and resonance in others. So we are constantly trying to protrude, like our mothers and our fathers and our grandfathers or grandmothers did. We're constantly making the same mistake again by giving it too much thought, too much value, and trying so hard to believe in who we are, beyond who we are sometimes, or even had to be. And that means that Virgo is going to be a very, very quick time. And yes, there is lying, there is cheating, there is theft, sometimes. There is people talking behind your back. There are sometimes people making maybe even the mistake of making moves on you when they can't help it, like when they can't really do anything about it. People playing with you, people making you something that you're not, people pulling you down and belittling you. That can happen in September just to make it not so serious. So if you have a very, very serious partnership, if you are very, very stern, if you have this huge built up idea or emotion, sometimes Virgo is going to wash it out. So that's going to be, I feel, very, very heartbreaking for some. But I think that for others, if you can just let go like this without storing anything inside, it's going to be a very, very easy time in Virgo. And you might even be one of those people that dances the dance. So I feel that, I'm just going to try and prepare you. So I feel that in September there are going to be definitely people that are buoyant above the level of what other people can do. So that means it's like acrobats, it's like being way beyond the normal level of societal or energetic flexibility that other people can have. Having access to money that is just unbelievable money. Having a very, very flexible experience, having internet technology at your disposal, any kind of technology. Being very, very, very frisky, cheap and easy. It's kind of like knowing how to do it beyond what other people have done. So there's a huge opportunity in September month, when we actually even first hit Virgo. By the end of August, there's going to be a huge opportunity wheel where people are benefiting from magic sources of income again, magic parties, magic choices, magic scenes, magic futures, and just a magic life. But that sometimes takes only a certain type of personal tribe to do it. And this means you are actually naturally a free person or a freeing person. So imagine if you're a person that can just like have love for somebody or touch somebody's heart or touch somebody's thoughts, and eventually somehow they start to vibe at the same level as you. It's like the silver tongue. So I'm kind of feeling like there is a lot of energy of that already happening in myself and in other people. It's like, guess what? Guess why you're here? Just to be free. Guess what? You never had to do it. You never had to confuse anybody. You just had to be open. You just had to be open. You just had to be honest. Stop carrying that stuff around. Or like, you've never sinned. Or like, this karma doesn't mean anything. Or like, these people, forget them. So there is this very, very beautiful bubbliness that I'm already picking up, and it's really, really happening also for me in my life and other people that I know. It's just like, look, just stop being so drab. Just have an innocent time. So Virgo basically is already going to, by the end of August, offer you innocence. But you see, if you are so built up and you're so kind of claustrophobic, if you're sitting inside your body as if it was a tower and you can't even breathe, you can't even see nothing. It's a very, very heavy time. So yeah, sometimes it takes a very special type of parasite or a pest to liberate you. Or some people have to have a very ironic fallback, and some of it is just all to liberate us. So that's the next level thinking, as just being free and unable to be bound. And if you're not realizing that, if you're not telling yourself the right stories, if you're not feeling like the right type of man or woman yet, and you're still trying to bulk up to make it worth it, or if you're still trying to imitate your grandparents, this is going to be a very, very easy time to have some crazy stuff happen. So like there is definitely some bad stuff going to happen. And it's not because life is cruel, although sometimes it might be like that a little bit. It's because it's like nature wants to take away that which makes you believe that you are not who you are, or like nature wants to set you back so you just relax a little bit and stop trying so hard, or nature wants to give you the next plan or the next plane of thought, or nature wants to rob something from you so that you can just be yourself. So it's like it wants to take something from you so you stop thinking that's the way that things have to be, and then that's that. So that's where I'm at also right now. I'm understanding like there just needs to be a nice likable feeling, like a nice fresh feeling. If you want, you can always upscale your month by involving an exercise, juicing, like eating fresh food, going out into the sun, of course, being free and fabulous, but that's not for everybody. So that's the thing. So anyway, just a minute there to think about that. If you are very, very stuck and you can't let go, colon. Sometimes it's in the colon. That's where a lot of diseases start. Flushing your colon. Like sometimes people that can't accept like juices or clean food is because they have certain tissues in their colon that have already, grown, or they have certain things like accumulations in their colon. And sometimes that's where people actually start to feel depressed and very emotional. And that's where also a lot of the weight issues start, as just obstructions in the gut. So, I mean, if you like, you can see me in Peru. Of course, you can come here and hang out with me in this beautiful place. If you want to do a cleanse, that's also likely. I'm still here, still doing it here, still going on here. Also, yeah, if you like, you can visit my website and have a look at what else I offer. And also, yes, you can have a look at my Patreon. So that's pretty much it. And yes, 10 albums of music. How? Like, I don't know. 10 albums of music coming up, coming out, coming through by the end of the month. Thank you very much. I'll be posting some stuff about that soon. Bye.